In the last few videos, we applied the concepts of lists and dictionaries to solve the simple problems. In this video, let us apply the concept of dictionary as well as list to model the real world problems. Especially, let us model the chessboard as well as tic-tac board with the help of dictionary and list data structure. Finally, let us understand the role of nesting of lists and dictionaries to solve the complex applications as well as the computational problems. First, let us model the chessboard. Before modeling this chessboard with the advanced data structures like lists and dictionaries, let us understand the structure of this chessboard. Chessboard is a 64 squares board. We can see this image here, 8x8 board, and we have a chess pieces. We have a black and white chess pieces, and each set contains one king, one queen, two rooks, two bishops, and two knights, and 8 pawns. Similarly, same set we can find for white color. We have white chess pieces as well as black chess pieces. And what about this the game before the internet? Before the internet, people used to play this game even though they were at different geographical locations, and sometimes even without a chessboard. And how do they communicate the different moves, chess piece moves? What they used to do is they used to send the move over a postcard, or even sometimes they used to communicate the move over the phone lines. And to do so, they used some codes which describe the chess piece move. And let us understand what is that notation or a code that was used by the players to communicate to the opponent. Let us understand the algebraic chess notation which was used to describe the chess piece moves as well as to describe the chessboard structure. The squares on the chessboard are identified by a number and the letter coordinate. We can see here we have a 8x8 chessboard, and the horizontal coordinates are represented, there is a spaces, cells are represented with the letter A, B, C up to H, and the vertical coordinates are numbers 1 to up to 8. And these chess pieces are identified by capital letters, uppercase letters, K for king, Q for queen, R for rook, B for bishop, N for knight. And to describe the chess piece move, the players used to represent the chess piece move with the help of a letter of the piece and the coordinates of its destination after the move. And a pair of these moves describes what happens in a single turn. What is a source location and what is a destination location. Let us take up the example here. We have a 2 dot nf3 space nc6 indicates that white moved a knight to f3 and black moved knight to c6 on a second turn of the game. This number 2 represent the second turn, and this is the movement of white chess piece. N is a knight is moved to f3, f here, and this is 3, this place, and black moved a knight to c6, c6, this location. And this was a notation used by the players. The first segment of this notation is the turn of the game. Second one is a white chess piece movement, and this is a black chess piece movement. The algebraic chess notation unambiguously describes the game of chess even without a chessboard. And we know the computer has a good memory system, and we can easily store the large number of such strings of algebraic chess notations of chess piece movements. This is how computers can play the chess without having any physical chessboard. And to have this a program, definitely we need to model the data as well as the scheme which represent the chessboard as well as chessboard moves and the rules, etc. And we need to write a suitable code to work on this data model of chessboard and chess piece movements. Let us look into these models which represent the chessboard as well as chess piece movements. Let us think about the advanced data structures like lists and dictionaries. Definitely we can choose one of the data structure, that is list or dictionary, to model this chessboard as well as the chess piece movements. The first model is a list implementation to store these chess piece movement, where each item in the list represent a tuple containing pair of strings. That is nf3, this is the first tuple item, and this is second tuple item. And what about this a turn? The turn is the index in the list. We start the index of a list now here from 1. 1, this is the first move, second turn, third turn, etc. The list index represent this number, and the item, a value at this index, that is the turn, represent the chess piece movement. two strings. First string is a first item in the tuple and the second string is a second item in the tuple. That is how we can have a list of tuples, wherein list index represent the turn and the tuple contain two items representing the chess piece moves. And the second representation, a model, is a use of dictionary. Dictionary with the turn or a move number or a turn as a key, and we are going to store a value which is a tuple representing two strings like the list. Only the difference is here we use the turn as a key for a dictionary and the associated value is a tuple representing these two strings. This is how we can model the chessboard as well as the chess piece movements, and we can write a suitable code to for this uh, for this chess game. Now let us take up the second problem of modeling tic-tac-toe board. This is a well-known game. We all know this game, and this board has a large hash symbol with 9 slots that can contain either X or O or even blank. If you find a blanks in all the 9 cells, that means the empty board without any the turn or a move. To represent the board with a dictionary data structure, we have to assign each slot a string value key, that is either X or O or a space character, and we need to store these 9 strings in a dictionary like this. The string value with the key top R can represent the top right corner, and the string value with the key low L represent the bottom left corner, and the string value with the key mid M represent the middle, and so on. And this dictionary data structure will represent the tic-tac board, and this data structure also stores the different the moves for number of turns, that is within 9. This is a pictorial representation. This is the top L portion, and this is top M, and this is top right, and this is middle L, middle M, middle right, low L, low M, and low R. These are the keys. You can see these are the keys of the dictionary, and the values are initially empty spaces. That means you have a empty tic-tac board. This is the empty tic-tac board. This is how we can model this the tic-tac board status while playing. If a player X went first and choose the middle space, then the representation will be like this. A player X chooses the middle one, and you can see now dictionary key mid M contains a value X. That means middle cell is now chosen by a player X. Let us say the player O, after number of moves, he has won by placing all the zeros on the top row, and now the dictionary contents will be, you can see top L O and top M O and top R O, and this implies the player O has won this game. And this is just a representation, and a lot more things are required to automate this game in computer. And one thing is we need to print the screen, and the simple code to print this dictionary onto the screen in the form of a tic-tac-toe board is: the first line displays the top row, and this is a middle row, and this is a bottom row, and we have a vertical pipes to have a vertical divisions. And this print board will takes the dictionary, the board is a dictionary as an argument, and displays the contents at each of these keys in the board structure. And here is the main program, not the complete program, snapshot of the main. For a particular turn, let us say we have a player X, and we have total 9 turns, and we print the board initially, and we take the input from the user, whether it's a top L or mid M, whatever, and based on the input we are going to put the turn, that is the first turn, first player X, on that particular key on this chessboard. And the next turn is for O, since the turn is X, and the next turn is for O, and same thing is repeated for number of times. And the thing is, here we need to put the logic to determine whether X is winning the game or O is winning, or it ends in a draw, okay, where both the players will not win this game. This is a small segment of a code, and a lot more things we need to add to have a complete application for this tic-tac-toe game. The intention of this is explaining this chessboard as well as tic-tac-toe board is to give you the knowledge of modeling the real world thing in the form of a data structure, which in turn is stored in computer memory, and thereby we can automate the real game with the help of a program and the computer. Nesting of data structures. As we model the complicated real world problems or situations, we may find the need of dictionaries within lists as well as lists within dictionaries. Remember, the lists are useful when we have a ordering among the individual values or elements, and dictionaries are useful where we have to associate the values to a particular set of keys, which are not necessarily integer type, which can be of different data type. Let us take up the real world scenario of arranging a picnic. Let us say 10 members are going for a picnic, and we need to automate this managing the food items brought by the individual people, and we need to print the total, we need to display the total items brought by all these people. And the best data structure to hold this information, who is bringing what for the picnic, is a dictionary. This is the dictionary where we have a key is a name of a person who is attending the picnic or participating in the picnic or an event, and the value is another dictionary which as key is nothing but the item, and the value is a quantity. Apples, 5 numbers, and so on. And Bob is getting sandwiches, 3 numbers, apples, 2 numbers. Carol, she is bringing cups and then apple pieces, etc. This is how we can model the items that are uh, planned or arranged for the picnic. And we can have a function, a total brought, which reads the data structure, entire data structure. Here we have taken only 3 members, and it gives us the total number of items that are available for the picnic. This is the function total brought, which takes the 2 arguments. One is the dictionary and second one is the item. We want the item wise count. Let us say how many apples are available now, which are brought by different guests. We initialize it to 0, and for all these items within the uh, guest dictionary, we just take the value if it is a apple or if it is a burger or a sandwich, whatever, and we return the count. And we need to call this function for each of the item. Let us say how many sandwiches are available at the picnic spot. We need to pass the data structure as well as the sandwich as an item, and this will return the total sandwiches that are available for the lunch or whatever. And here is the main program, which gives the total count of apples, how many cups are available, how many cakes, sandwiches, and etc. And finally, the output of these printf statements will be like this: apples total count 7, cups 7, cakes 0, etc. Thus we can model the real world things with data structure in whatever the way that you like, as long as the rest of the code in your program can work on the data model correctly. Same thing can be even implemented with the list or even other data structure, but see to it that the rest of the code of your program will work on the data model without any bugs or without giving a false or a fault in the solution. That's why when you begin a programming of a real world scenario or solving a real world problem, don't worry about the data model at all. Try to gain more insights into the problem, gather the requirements, and then build up the logic to solve the problem, and then define the model, and see to it that the whatever the defined or planned logic will, or a algorithm or a pseudocode, works on the data model that you have finalized. This is how the programmer need to start solving the real world things. First identifying the requirements and then defining the pseudocode or algorithms which describe the logic or the solution, and then define the data model to represent the data or the structure or whatever the solution form, and see to it that the algorithm perfectly works on the data model that you have chosen for the subsequent data or intermediate, to store the intermediate results, or even to represent the portions or maybe the solutions of sub problems, etc. To summarize, in this video we modeled two real-world problems, namely the modeling of the chessboard and the tic-tac-toe board. Also, we found that some of the complex applications or real-world things require the nesting of advanced data structures like lists and dictionaries.